Alrighty, welcome to the workflow module. We're finally getting into it, the meat of how we do these animations, how to become an advanced editor or animator that's able to work with, celebrities, influencers, big businesses. This is the meat of the video. We're going to be teaching you how to actually come up with that visual look that allows you to work with those people. But before we dive into hardcore tactics here, we're going to be going over this optimal workflow overview, just to show you how things are going to work and how we're going to operate. Like I said before, it's really important to understand what we're doing first before we get into the meat, the real meat of it. So this is just a workflow overview. And there's two workflows that we have here. One is for a 2-minute plus video, so think YouTube video, a long form video. The other is for a 60-second or under video. Now it doesn't have to exactly be 60 seconds or under. It could be a minute 30 or under. So don't follow this like hardcore. But typically for a long form video, there's a workflow that we want to work with. And then for the 60-second one, there's two options that you could go with. And I'll explain that right now. Okay, so for the long form workflow, the way this is going to work is we're going to use multiple programs because each program is specifically designed to do a certain thing. And I'll explain as I go about this a little bit further. So the way we start off in the actual workflow here is through the downloads. You're downloading your assets. This could be the raw files, whatever it may be. If you're not downloading things from Drive, it could be coming from your camera. If you're the one who recorded it and you want to edit your own video, if it's from somewhere else, you're just downloading it. But you're downloading it into a folder, a structured folder that helps you be organized, and you can really speed up your workflow through being organized. And I'm going to show you how to do that in another video. From your folder, that's when we're starting the project. And we start the project in Premiere. Why Premiere? Well, Premiere is really nice for navigating the timeline. It's meant for editing videos that are 2 minutes plus, or even 60-second videos. And I'll explain that a little bit later. You could edit a 60-second video really quickly in Premiere. But Premiere's timeline is set up way better than After Effects. It's more of a do-it-all kind of program where you're doing the cut downs. You can do a little bit of basic animation. You can do audio correction, color grading. Yes, you can do that stuff in After Effects, but After Effects is really meant for just strictly hardcore animation. That's what After Effects is meant for. It's not meant for editing an entire YouTube video. And most people get confused on that. I've had people join our team, or I've talked to people who just strictly stay in After Effects and edit the entire video. And I have people who strictly stay in Premiere. One's not better than the other. Premiere has certain things that are really meant to be done in Premiere. So that's cut downs, color corrections, and audio corrections. That's the first thing that we're going to do in Premiere. Basically, cutting out all the the mess ups, and making it so our project is just that raw, edited cut down with all, taking out all the mess ups and stuff. From there, we're going to go to Photoshop. And this is where we're going to storyboard or frame the entire edit. A lot of people are get confused by this, or just completely wowed. Like, I didn't know I could use Photoshop. Some of you already know that you could use Photoshop, bring those files into After Effects or Premiere to then animate. If so, then you already have a good workflow established, which is great. But what we're doing here is we're picking parts in the cut downs that we want to visualize, and we're storyboarding out the entire thing in Photoshop. Like I said, each program is meant to do a specific thing. Photoshop is really good for coming up with visuals. Why would you come up with visuals in Premiere when it's really hard to navigate that frame, that view window of your video in Premiere? You want to do that in Photoshop first, in the same exact frame. So if it's a horizontal video, you're creating a 1920 by 1080 frame in Photoshop to create your visuals on, and then you're bringing that over to either Premiere, if it's a basic animation situation, or you're bringing that into After Effects. But typically, I like to try to handle as many animations as I can in Premiere. Just because if you really look at what we're doing here, and if you look at everybody else's videos, it's all about coming up with the style and look first in Photoshop. And the animations are kind of basic. Obviously, I'm going to show you how to do some advanced stuff here, but a lot of it is just dictated by the visual. And doing that in Photoshop makes the visuals come out way better, and you can do it way quicker because that's what Photoshop is meant for. So we're bringing those Photoshop files then over to Premiere to do those basic animations. And then anything advanced, we're dynamic linking to After Effects. So if there's a certain section that requires an advanced animation, we're dynamic linking that section to After Effects to do more complex stuff with it. And then we can use the Photoshop files, bring that into After Effects, and each layer is individualized just because it's a Photoshop file. And we go ahead and do the advanced animation in After Effects. From there, since we originally started the project file in Premiere here, we're then going back to Premiere after the advanced animations are done. And this is where we're adding sound effects and doing captions and adding anything else like it could be transitions and stuff that don't have to be too advanced. We're doing that back in Premiere just because of the way the timeline is set up. You can view that audio wave file a lot easier in Premiere than you can in After Effects. So lining up things for sound effects is way easier. The biggest difference here is that Premiere and After Effects have two different timelines, the way it's set up. Premiere has a timeline that's meant to kind of handle everything. After Effects has a timeline that's meant to handle 10 to 30 seconds, maybe a minute max animation. Typically don't do anything over 20 seconds in After Effects. So that's why it's best to just bring sections from Premiere over to After Effects, because that way that timeline is set up. It's just meant to do like that hardcore pinpointing a 10-second area to do an animation in. And I'll explain this a lot more in this module as we keep on going on with these videos here. Now for the 60-second workflow, it's pretty much the same. There's not a big difference, and I don't want to confuse you here. So just think of option 1 as literally the exact same thing here. Personally, I like to do as many things as I can in Premiere before I bring it into After Effects. But I have a lot of editors on my team who really like navigating in After Effects with a short video just because some things can be sped up. So option 2 is a little bit different. And the biggest difference here is you're cutting out the Premiere Pro for the basic animations, and you're doing everything in After Effects as far as animating everything. But you're still doing stuff like sound effects and captions in Premiere. And the way that works is you still do Premiere like cut downs, color corrections, audio corrections, and then you dynamic link that entire project over to After Effects. And then once you do all the animations in After Effects, since the original project was started in Premiere, you can then go back to Premiere and add the sound effects, captions, and export from there. So that's the workflow. If this is still a little bit confusing, that's all right. I'm going to, like I said, just keep on making videos that dive into each aspect of these programs and how to properly utilize it. So with that, I'll go ahead and see you in the next video.